Okay, so on this Tarsia puzzle, you're just supposed to solve them. So each equation you're supposed to solve. So I'm just going to start with this one right here, which says 12a minus 8 equals 40. So I add 8 to both sides of the equal sign. 12a equals 48. I divide by 12 and I get a equals 4. Then, so this one, I got a equals 4. Then this one right here on this one, so I'm just going to write it negative 2 parenthesis 2 minus 7x equals 94. So I multiply through, I do the distributive property. I get negative 4 plus 14x equals 94. I add 4 on both sides. I get 14x equals 98. Divide by 4 on both sides. And I get x equals, let's see, I'm going to say 2, 4, 6, 8. Nope, it's not going to be 8. How about 7? So 14 times 7. That would be 28. That's 798. There we go. So 7 is my answer. Okay, so this one right here is x equals 7. Okay, so then I have this one right here. So 4 parenthesis 6 plus 7x equals negative 116. So 24 plus 7x equals negative 116. Subtract 24 from both sides. I get 7x equals negative, because if you're adding negatives and everything's negative, then your answer is going to be negative. And so I just add the numbers. So that's a 0, a carry. That would get me 4. That would get me 1. Divide by 7. Positive divided by a negative is a negative. 7 goes into, sorry about that. 7 goes into 14 2 times. 7 goes into 0 0 times. So that means that this one is x equals negative 20. So then I can come and do this one right here, and I'm just going to write it right next to it. So negative 8n plus 40 equals 4 parenthesis 6 minus 4n, and solve it. I can't do anything on the left hand side, so I leave it alone. I get 24 minus 16n. I want to have the variables on the same side of the equal sign, so I'm going to move the smaller of the two. And that would get me 8n plus 40 equals 24. I subtract 40 from both sides. I get 8n equals negative, because there are more negatives. There are 40 negatives, there are only 24 positives. So then 40 minus 24, I borrow. That gets me a 6, that gets me a 1, so it's negative 16. I divide by 8 on both sides and get n equals negative 2. Okay? So this one, I'm going to just write it right side up. So this is an invisible 1, so I'm going to multiply through. All it does is change the signs of both items inside. Then I'm going to move the smaller of the two coefficients. When I do that, 7 minus 6 gets me 1. Subtract 2 from both sides, get x equals negative 1. So this right here is x equals negative 1. That one doesn't have anything. That one doesn't have anything. Oh, this one does. So I have 12 minus 7x equals negative 135. I subtract 12 from both sides of the equal sign. I get negative 7x equals, they're both negatives, so I keep it as a negative and add them. So 7, 4, 1. Divide both sides by a negative 7. And I get x equals, let's see, 7 goes into 14 2 times, 7 goes into 7 once. So my answer is 21. Okay, so I come to the second sheet and I write it down. 12 equals 2 minus 3n plus 7. Before I do anything, I need to combine like terms because these two are constants. We just add them together and then we solve. So I subtract 9 from both sides. I get 3 equals negative 3n. Divide by negative 3 on both sides. Positive divided by a negative is a negative, so negative 1 is equal to n. Okay, the next one, I have 3 parentheses, 6x minus 7 equals negative 129. Okay, so I'm going to multiply through and get 18x minus 21. I need to get the variable by itself, so I need to get rid of the 21 by adding it to the other side of the equal sign. Okay, these are opposite signs, so that means I need to subtract them, but there are more negatives than there are positives. 9 minus 1 is 8. That would be 0. That would be 1. I divide by 18 on both sides of the equal sign, and I get x equals, and that would be a negative, and I believe it's going to be 6. So let's see, that's 48. That would be, yep, 108. So this comes out to negative 6. So this one right here is, oops, it helps if I have the pen. Okay. I'm actually going to do this one right here up top, just because there's not a lot of space right there. So 11 equals negative 7 minus 6k minus 6. So I combine like terms. They both have negatives. So there are 6 negatives and 7 negatives. So there are a total of 13 negatives. Then I need to get the k by itself, so I'm going to add 13 to both sides of the equal sign and get 24 is equal to negative 6k. Divide by negative 6 on both sides and get negative 4 is equal to k. This one right here, I think I have plenty of room to do this one. So if I have 8x minus 7x equals 8, I combine like terms and I get x equals 8. See how easy that one was? Okay, this one, I think I'm going to write right here, 6, 2n plus 3, 34 minus 4n. I need to do the distributive property first, so I get 12n plus 18 equals 34 minus 4n. I need to get the variables on the same side of the equal sign, so I'm going to add 4n to both sides of, you know what, add 4n. Now, some of you haven't been doing this, but I would highly suggest that if I'm subtracting n's or adding n's or whatever variable it is, that you write it underneath the like term. Because if you don't write it underneath the like term, then you're going to think you're adding the wrong things together. So this would get me 16n plus 18 equals 34. I subtract the 18 from both sides of the equal sign. When I do that, I borrow. That becomes a 2. Okay, 14 minus 8 is 6. Oh, look at that. It's 16. So when I divide, I get 1. So the answer for this one is 1. We're going to write this one right here. 5/4 x minus 1 equals 19. So this one, I add 1. I don't worry about the fraction yet. Now I can worry about the fraction. Remember, don't write this part down. If I divide by 5/4, if I was to do this, we can't divide by fractions. Okay, we can't divide by fractions. What we do instead is we multiply by the reciprocal. So I multiply both sides by 4/5. Cancel, 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 cancel. I'm left with an x. Okay, some of you don't like the canceling thing, so I'll multiply straight across for you. 20 times 4 is 80. 1 times 5 is 5. And that would come out to 16. So this right here is 16. Nothing there. Then we have something here. Let's see if I can get this into this tiny space right here. 3/5 x plus 3. Now this is going to come out with fractions. You're going to freak out. Guys, fractions are okay. They're not that difficult. Okay, you just have to remember the rules. So 3/5 x, remember this is over 1, plus 9/5. Guys, we want to, in order to do this problem, we need to have the common denominator. So I need to make this so that it has a common denominator. Right now, it's over 1, but I want it to be over 5. So I'm going to multiply the numerator and the denominator by 5. When I do that, I'm going to get 105 over 5. Guys, isn't that still 21? 3/5 x plus 9/5. Now we have a common denominator all the way through. So I'm going to subtract 9/5 from both sides of the equal sign. Okay? And if you don't like subtracting, just in your head, we can borrow. That's a 9. That'll give us 6. That'll get me 96. So I have 96/5 equals 3/5 x. Okay, again, we have to multiply by the reciprocal. So we're going to multiply by 5 over 3. Okay? Now, I know that you guys don't necessarily like cross-canceling, but I'm going to do that because I don't want to multiply by 5. So I'm not going to multiply by 5 on this. I'm actually going to cancel this out. These 5s cancel out. And then I'll do this. I'll be nice and not do the cross-canceling for that, and we'll just simplify our fraction. 3 goes into 9 3 times. 3 goes into 6 2 times. Comes out to 32. So this one right here is 32. And is this our, nope, we have a couple more. So this, I'm going to write it right here. Negative 100 equals negative a minus 3 times negative 4 minus 5a. Okay, I have to take the negative 3 and multiply it through. I get negative 100 equals negative a, because that's not being multiplied, only the negative 3 is, plus 12 plus 15a. Okay, these are like terms. I have 15 a's and I take away an a. That means that I have 14 a's left plus 12. Remember, that's negative. I subtract 12 from both sides. That'll get me negative 112 equals 14a. I divide by 14 on both sides. Comes out to negative. Well, 14, let's see, that'll go in 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm thinking 8 times. So 14 times 8, that gets me 32. That gets me 11, yep. So the answer is negative 8 is equal to A. No, I did not use a calculator. Okay, I'm going to write this one right here. So negative 3 x minus 4 equals negative 42. I think that's exactly what it says. It is. I'm going to multiply this through, and I'm going to get negative 3x plus 12 equals negative 42. I subtract 12 from both sides of the equal sign. Okay, they both are negative, so I'm just going to add and keep the sign. So that's going to get me 54, negative 54, divide by negative 3. Negative divided by a negative is a positive. And let's see, 54 divided by 3. 3 goes into 5 one time. I subtract, I get 24. 3 goes in 8 times. So 18 is my answer. So this is 18. And then last but certainly not least, we have 35 equals, try that again, minus 5x equals 5 times 6x plus 7. So I'm going to multiply through and get 30. Okay, we're having a hard time on this last one. Sorry about that, guys. 5x equals 30x plus 35. Okay, I'm going to add 5x to both sides. I'm going to get 35 equals 35x plus 35. I'm going to subtract 35. This, for some reason, becomes difficult because you guys don't like the number 0 for some reason. Okay, what times 35 will be 0? Well, let's divide both sides by 35. 0 divided by any number except for 0 is going to be 0. Okay, I hope that helped doing these